Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right in. Today, we're opening up a completely new chapter in enterprise transformation intelligence. If you're a CEO, a strategy leader, or, anyone driving change across a massive organization, you already know the painful truth. Traditional transformation strategies, they often fall completely short. So, let's explore a really groundbreaking framework designed to fix that exact blind spot. It's called Modus Luca, the transformation intelligence.
We really have to start by acknowledging a truth that, let's face it, most executives know all too well. We are absolutely excellent at analyzing isolated business units, right? We can optimize a supply chain or tweak a technology platform in a vacuum all day long, but as this quote captures so perfectly, while we've mastered managing the parts, the real, monumental challenge is understanding the relationships between those parts.
So, here's the crucial point. Your enterprise is not just a collection of static silos. It's actually a living, breathing network. Think about it. A change to just one single element, say a new regulatory requirement, or a tiny shift in a product feature, that creates massive, often completely unseen consequences across dozens of other areas. The real intelligence of transformation doesn't come from looking through one narrow analytical lens. It comes from mapping out and truly understanding this entire living system before you make a move.
To solve this, we actually draw inspiration from a really fascinating biological metaphor, Luca. That stands for the last universal common ancestor. Now in science, Luca isn't some specific modern animal, and actually, scratch that, it's not even literally the first cell. It represents the deep ancestral foundation associated with the common ancestry of all cellular life. So why use this metaphor for business? Well, because just like incredibly diverse forms of life share an underlying common structural DNA, radically different transformation problems, whether you're in healthcare, retail, government, they all share a common structural sequence. Dot, need, connection, system, outcome. And this brilliantly illustrates the paradigm shift we're talking about today. Now, if you're familiar with the Modus platform, you already know it provides a world-class environment to execute your transformation. It literally contains the transformation world. Luca, on the other hand, acts as this pre-vision intelligence layer. It gives you the intelligence to navigate that world before execution. We actually like to call it the intelligence between the dots. It just sits right on top of your execution environment to ensure the vision you're about to activate actually makes sense in reality.
Section 1. The transformation dot, the foundational level of intelligence.
So what is a DOT? Well, a DOT can be absolutely anything that matters to your strategy, spanning entirely different domains. We're talking a customer, a specific product, an internal process, or maybe an enterprise system. But it can also be an external environmental factor or a complex regulatory requirement. Honestly, whether you're building a new healthcare service or designing the world's most sustainable running shoe, the specific DOTs will change, but the underlying intelligence model, that remains exactly the same.
But here's where we really have to break away from legacy thinking. A dot is not just a static object. It's definitely not some dead row in a massive forgotten spreadsheet somewhere on a shared drive. No way. You have to view every single dot as a living entity possessing its own unique purpose, capabilities, constraints, and intent. When Luca looks at a customer dot, it isn't just looking at demographic data. It's looking at an intelligent point within your system that has specific desires and limits that are going to push back against the other parts of your business.
Section 2. Needs and connections. The next layer of complexity.
Because if a DOT is a living entity, it naturally requires certain things to fulfill its purpose, right? Every single DOT brings its own specific requirements to the table. Think about it. Your customer DOT needs affordability and convenience. The product DOT, it needs differentiation and performance. Your finance DOT is laser-focused on margin and return, while your environment DOT absolutely needs responsible resource use. Luca never just looks at the DOT itself. It always asks, what does this DOT need to succeed? And critically, why does it need it?
And watch how this builds into a huge cascading chain reaction across your network. Let's say your customer needs affordability. Okay, that instantly triggers step 2. Your product must be produced at a lower cost, which leads to step 3. Your supplier is now squeezed, but still absolutely needs commercial viability to survive. So step 4, to cut costs, that supplier changes a material, which suddenly affects the environment DOT. You see? Satisfying just one need triggers a massive wave of requirements everywhere else.
And honestly, that is the real secret of enterprise complexity. Because no DOT exists in isolation. This isn't just a simple, straight-line linear chain. It creates a massive, non-linear ripple effect. For example, That environmental impact might trigger a regulatory DOT, which then impacts your brand trust DOT, which circles right back around to affect customer demand. This complex web of interdependencies is exactly what Luca is designed to map out and reason about, at a scale human brains simply can't process alone.
Section 3. The Need Game, where diverse needs interact. In any complex enterprise, these competing needs inevitably create tension. It's just a fact of business, and uncovering these natural friction points within the system, that is where true strategic intelligence is born. For example, your customer's need for maximum affordability is going to naturally conflict with your environmental DOT's need for sustainability. Or maybe a transformation initiative designed to maximize process efficiency directly conflicts with the need for a positive employee experience. Luca creates a highly dynamic map of these exact tensions.
But the goal here isn't to just pick one side and ignore the other. The question is never which lens wins. Instead, Luca asks a much better question. How can the needs of the system be aligned to create the desired outcome? Luca is fundamentally an intelligence for need alignment. It ensures that as executives, we don't just optimize one single silo, like say short-term profitability, at the hidden expense of the collective system's long-term survival.
Section 4. Validating the vision, the ultimate executive payoff. Because this entire structural framework builds toward one massive executive payoff. Before you invest tens of millions of dollars into activating a new vision, Luca systematically tests your proposed strategy against the reality of the living network. It's a clear process. Step 1, you start by proposing the vision. Step 2, Luca goes into discovery mode, mapping out all those dots and connections. Step 3, it simulates what-if scenarios across the living system. And finally, Step 4, you reach validation and activation. It completely changes the boardroom conversation from, we want to do this, to, we understand the system well enough to know exactly what doing this will cause.
And just to be absolutely clear here, this is not about replacing human judgment. It is 100% about enhancing it. Luca is specifically designed to challenge our assumptions. It uncovers hidden dots you might not have explicitly modeled, like a secondary regulatory body or some obscure supply chain partner. It finds deep, systemic needs rather than just what a customer explicitly says in a survey. It highlights dangerous, unintended consequences and capability readiness gaps, ultimately providing you with a real confidence profile rather than just blindly validating what you already want to believe.
By acting as a strategic gatekeeper between your intent and your action, Luca answers the absolute most important question in business. If we activate this vision, what actually happens to the living system? It shows you who is affected, what dependencies change, what new conflicts emerge, and what alternative configurations might actually produce a better outcome. It ensures you truly, fundamentally understand the consequences of your enterprise decisions before you pull the trigger.
So I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. Take a moment to consider your current strategic initiatives or your massive transformation projects right now. You know the parts for sure, but do you truly understand the intelligence between the dots? When you map out every hidden tension, does your transformation vision actually survive reality? Understanding that answer is the future of enterprise intelligence. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to start looking at your own business through the lens of the dot.